Good afternoon, everybody. It's August 11th, 2025. We are here today to talk about the proposed rulemaking for the Mobile Home Park Oversight Program. I'm Sam Albrecht. I'm the Director of the Office of Regulatory Oversight. Here with me, I have Christina Postulowski, who is the Program Manager. I have Michelle Goulet, who is our Community Outreach Liaison, and I have Cassie Vandermeer, who is our Registrations Administrator. With that said, I'd like to get started, and we'll talk a little bit about the translation services we're going to have also. Valentina?
Thank you very much, Sam. Hola a todos. Hi, everyone. My name is Valentina, and I'm here on behalf of Community Language Cooperative, and I am here to provide and guarantee your commitment to language justice. Language justice is a type of simultaneous interpretation that seeks to create spaces in which no one language is dominant, spaces in which everyone can participate in the language of their heart. So to achieve this objective, we'll be using Zoom's interpretation feature. What you will see in a couple of minutes is that a new little button that looks like a globe will appear on the bottom bar of your screen. On that same bar where you currently have the buttons for the microphone, for the video, for the chat, etc. It'll be towards your right hand. Once you see this new little button come up, go ahead and click on it and select either English or Spanish as both the language that you will be listening into and speaking into. If you are joining the meeting on a phone or on a tablet, you will find the same options for interpretation by clicking on the button with the three little dots on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. This button reads more. Hola a todos, a todas y a todos. Mi nombre es Valentina y estoy aquí por parte de Community Language Cooperative y estoy aquí para ofrecerles y garantizar su compromiso con la justicia del lenguaje. La justicia del lenguaje es un tipo de interpretación simultánea que busca crear espacios en los que no dominen ningún idioma, espacios en los que todos puedan participar en el idioma de su corazón. Para lograr este objetivo vamos a utilizar la función de interpretación de Zoom. Lo que verán en un par de minutitos es que aparecerá un nuevo botón, que parece un globo terráqueo, en la barra inferior de su pantalla. En esa misma barra donde ahorita tienen los botones para el micrófono, para el video, para el chat, etc. Va a estar hacia su mano derecha. Una vez que vean este botoncito aparecer, hagan clic en él y seleccionen inglés o español como el idioma en el que desea escuchar y participar. Si usted está en esta sesión por medio de una tableta o de un teléfono, encontrará las mismas opciones haciendo clic en el botón que tiene 3 puntitos en la esquina inferior derecha de su pantalla. Ese botoncito dirá More o Más. A quick reminder for those of you that do prefer to use English during this meeting, Spanish is 20 to 25% longer than English, so please keep this in mind and be aware of your speed. If you have any questions or any issues whatsoever with this technology, please let the whole group know by means of the chat box so that we can work together to address them. Un breve recordatorio es que la interpretación es simultánea, entonces cuando participe mantenga un ritmo de conversación. Si tiene alguna pregunta o algún problema con esta tecnología, por favor comuníquese al grupo completo a través del chat para que lo podamos resolver. Muchas gracias por tenerme por acá. Vamos a activar los canales de interpretación ahora. Thank you so much for having me here. We can go ahead and start the interpretation channels now.
Thank you, Valentina. Cassie, are we good to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we will get started. So we're here to talk about the proposed rulemaking for the Mobile Home Park Oversight Program. And there are two parts to this. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that we will be using Zoom for this meeting. This meeting is being recorded, and we will post it to our website just as soon as that becomes available. We also had a previous meeting, which I believe also has been posted to the website if you want to look at the first meeting. Using Zoom, you can ask a question in the chat box if you're using the computer or the webinar app, or you can raise your hand and we will call on you. We've got the host and the co-host will help me flag any messages that come across the meeting chat. If you're on a phone, *9 should raise your hand for you. A couple of meeting guidelines as we get started here. One is that the program cannot give legal advice. And perhaps most significantly, we cannot change statute, and I'll talk about that in a few moments. We are here to discuss the rulemaking itself and the process for that rulemaking. But if it is rooted, and as you know, rulemaking is rooted in statute, but we cannot change the statutory requirements of the program. If you have individual registration or complaint questions, we recommend contacting MPOP at the email there, mpop@state.co.us, or call our number at 833-924-1147. I mentioned that there's two parts of this fee increase. The first is, this rulemaking, the first item that will take up most of our time today is the actual fee increase itself. And then we do have one technical reference change, citation change to statute that was omitted from the last rulemaking, and we're going to make a technical correction on that. Today, I'll cover why we need to raise fees. I'll talk about the fee increase process. We'll take a quick look at the financials for the program, including previous year's financials. And then we'll talk about the recommended fee. And we'll talk about the rulemaking process itself for the fee increase. And then we can have some discussion. There was a question in the chat about why it wasn't mentioned on the MPOP website, and we did share this meeting through MPOP's email newsletter, and the actual rulemaking public hearing will be publicly noticed also. The technical correction proposal, I'm going to go ahead and cue that up right now so we can get it out of the way. Our rule 8.7.1, we want to change the reference to Colorado Revised Statute 38-12-1105 to 38-12-1105.5. As you notice that I have here in the red text, the 0.5 was dropped off out of the last rule change, and so we're going to put it back in. And that is just the correct statute reference. All other text in the administrative rules stay the same, and this is just a technical correction. Any questions on the technical correction before I go into the increased fee piece of this? Again, if you have any questions, you can certainly email us at the email that I provided, and I'm sure we've got that email going to be put up in the chat here in just a second. Why raise fees? MPOP, the Mobile Home Park Oversight Program, is a cash-funded program. That means that we pay for all our expenses, including our salary, staff costs, our rent, our computers, our telephone lines. All of our expenses have to be paid for by the fees that we raise. We had an excess reserve for a while, which we have expended, and we had extensions to use that excess reserve until it was run down, and we are now looking at a cash deficit, which drives the increase of fees. The program must remain solvent. That's a requirement of all the cash-funded programs, and it is a statutory requirement that we are cash-funded. The actual statute regarding the fees is Colorado Revised Statute 38-12-1106-8. And it says that the division shall establish by rule a fee that each landlord shall pay to the division as an annual registration fee for each mobile home independently owned on rented land within the landlord's mobile home park. And then it jumps to a section that says the division shall review the annual registration fee and, if necessary, adjust the annual registration fee through rulemaking to ensure it continues to reasonably relate the cost of administering the program. It also says in that middle section where I have the 3 dots is that a landlord must not charge a homeowner or resident more than half of the fee. Several comments that we have already gotten back in writing was, why not just have the park owners pay the full amount? That's why I wanted to show the statutory reference here, is that a landlord must not charge a homeowner or resident more than half of the fee, which means that the park owners can charge back to the resident owners up to 1/2 of the fee. And again, we're not here to talk about how to change statute. If you would like to change that piece of the statute, we recommend you contacting your legislator. Any question on the statute itself? Okay. What was the process we took to get to this point and to recommend a fee increase? We briefed the Joint Budget Committee in December and January. The Joint Budget Committee is the group that recommends the state budget for adoption. And we also briefed the governor's office. Both looked at our justification and rationale and the amount of the fee increase, and they approved. And we agreed to a fee increase of $10 per unit. The current fee per unit is $24 per unit, homeowner unit, and this will raise that to $34. We're proposing the fee increase to be effective October 30th of 2025. Now I want to dive into the details a little bit of the budget itself, and this slide and the next couple of slides drive down into that detail a little bit. The key things, let me go back. The key thing to look at is the fund balance, the year beginning fund balance. You can see that we had quite a bit of reserve that we could spend to fund the program. But if you take a look at the net cash flow on the bottom, you can see we were dipping into that reserve every single year. And you can look at our total revenue line, which in 22 and 23 was about 1.19604 million, went up to 1,223,000. And then our estimated this year for for the fiscal year we just ended, 24 to 25, was about the same at 1.292 million. And the fee increase should help us significantly cover our expenses. If you look at our total expenses total, you can see that we were about 1.3 million in 22-23. We bumped up to 1.658 million in expenses, and our estimated expenses for the fiscal year we just ended on the 31st of July is about 1.9 million. This cash fund reserve balance is also an important line that shows you what our cash uncommitted reserve balance was, which was available for spending. You can see that it trends down drastically, down to a projected being in the red for 26 and 27. This next sheet, the next 2 sheets, lay this out in a larger table format in order to provide a little more visual accessibility, but the numbers are the same. This page talks about the fund balance in detail. And the next page talks about the cash flow summary. And then the third page, which is also a table format, looks at our cash fund reserve balance. So currently our fees are listed in Rule 2.7. We're recommending a red line to that 2.7 to delete for the 2021 calendar year and each calendar year thereafter, and changing the annual registration fee from $24 to $34. This will take effect when with the effective date of the rules, which, like I had mentioned, we expect to be the end of October. How do we do rulemaking? We hold meetings for the interested parties and stakeholders. This is our second meeting. We recommend a rule change to the Director of the Division of Housing, who is our rule approval authority. We post the rule and public hearing information in the Colorado Register as required by state statute. I did check, and it was published yesterday on the 10th of August. And then we will hold a public hearing for the Director of the Division of Housing will consider approving the final rule. Just a recap of the timeline that we've talked about. The public meeting is June 20. We had public meetings on June 26th and August the 11th. We did publish that notice in the Colorado Register on August 10th. Rulemaking hearing will be September 5th, 2025 at 9 a.m. via Zoom. It will be a virtual meeting. And the effective date of the rule will be October 30th of 2025. So in conclusion, the fee increase is necessary for MPOP to remain solvent. We're recommending a $10 per unit fee increase effective October 30th, and there will be a public meeting. And we welcome written comments before the public meeting to that address that we put in the chat. Please include rulemaking in that subject line so that we can sort that out and address it in the public hearing. This slide, and we will post the slide deck also, has the address for submitting feedback. You can submit them by email or, of course, by writing, the Division of Housing. And then my information, again, is I'm Sam Albrecht, Director of the Office of Regulatory Oversight. Language access and accommodations, please reach out to Michelle Goulet, our Community Outreach Liaison. With that, I'm going to open it up for discussion and see, I'm going to stop sharing the slide deck and see if there's any questions that the audience may have. There was a question in the chat that I want to address. I think everybody else has jumped in on providing other information. Susan, you asked if this will be the only, will only this same issue be discussed at the September 5th meeting? Yes, we're only looking at these two things on rulemaking. Now, if you have other suggested changes to rules for the program, you can use that same email address and say, you can put rulemaking in there. Just maybe caveat it to say, in a future rulemaking, I would like you to consider X, Y, Z. and ABC is reasons for that. But the only, unless we find another technical error in the rules right now, these are the only two issues we're looking at addressing: the fee increase and any technical corrections. Any other questions, comments? Well, I appreciate your attending this meeting. Feel free to share the September 5th public hearing information. We will have that posted, that public notice on the website, because that is a requirement of the Administrative Procedures Act. And we will make sure it goes out in the newsletter for all stakeholder groups. And then again, I encourage writing emails or letters to address any comments to the rulemaking so we can have time to review before the September 5th meeting. But again, the September 5th meeting will be a live public hearing. It'll be just like this. We will give stakeholders approximately 3 minutes to make comments. Last chance for questions. Okay, with that, I'm going to end the recording. I thank you all for participating today, and please let us know if you need any more information on this topic.